Preeti, we've begun.
Great. Thanks, Rashi. Yeah, I wasn't sure how to look at the countdown clock. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Future of Gender Charcha track. Really pleased to welcome all of you joining from different places. We're just about to start, and big thanks to the Nudge Foundation for putting this incredible event together. I believe, again, in record time, much like last year, which we were hosting over a couple of days. I'm Preeti Rao. I'm Senior Advisor at Dalberg, which some of you may have heard of, is a global impact firm. We work out of 20 different offices around the world on numerous development topics. And today we are really pleased to be a co-host to the Charcha event. And at Dalberg, I mean, just by way of introduction, diversity, gender, equality, and inclusion is a mission for us in an area we work in, but a value that we really hold ourselves accountable to at the firm. At Dalberg, much of our leadership is people of color, women of color, and we sort of want to walk the talk as much as we can, and it's not easy always, but we're really committed to it, and also bringing the gender lens across all of the work that we do, whether that be financial inclusion, energy, healthcare, and so on. And today, just from last year's Charcha, really was the focus was understanding the impact of COVID, particularly on women and girls across country. And since the Charcha last year, we're very pleased to report that we've had a chance to really work alongside a lot of grassroots organizations, foundations, government, to really not just understand how COVID has impacted women and girls across India, but really sort of bring out large kind of public data sets and insights to inform policy making, whether that be in women's sort of participation in the workforce or sort of the access to healthcare, education, safety, and so on. So this year, really Charcha is going to be, it's a very interesting moment because we are just about approaching the 75th year of Indian independence. So we wanted to really dedicate, a lot of this session to not just reflect back and placing gender in the broader historical context in the country, but also really looking forward and expanding what it means to even have these conversations, who are the people on the table in these conversations, and so on. So really, I'm just going to give you a quick sort of snapshot of what to look forward to and expect over the next couple of days. But maybe, Dion, we could just jump into the slide. So this is really a brief overview of, how we've sort of traveled over the last sort of, half a century, or actually 3/4 of a century, all the way from, sort of women gaining property rights in the country to dowry being made a criminal offense, all the way to today where, transgender people are acknowledged in their own right, as well as most recently the decriminalization of homosexuality, which is really a big thing for us. So that's really been the snapshot. And women, of course, along the way have made, some social and political progress, all the way from increasing the voter participation, as well as secondary school enrollment, to really a reduction in child marriages, across the years. Moving to the next one. And yet, despite this progress that we, there are still, challenges. Primarily, women's participation in the workforce, surprisingly actually has reduced over the years, which was actually a surprising stat for me as well. Instead of seeing an increase in it, our sort of political leadership continues to, much less representative of women, with only 15% women in the Lok Sabha, as well as, a lot of our corporate India has yet to have women as leaders on their boards, with that being just 17% right now. One of the sort of things that we've also to highlight this year is particularly the state of transgender, third gender people across the country who still continue to have a struggle just with gaining an identity. And in this case, just getting an Aadhaar card, which, as we all know today, is an important ticket to gain sort of welfare services from the government, very, very critical sort of essential services like rations and health and education. Just by way of a personal story, one of the most recent incidents that I sort of faced was, while being introduced to, I'm sort of married to a bureaucrat, and by way of introduction, I was introduced as a Mrs. Secretary, which was quite amusing, but, instantly kind of negated my 20 years of professional career in my own right. And, so it's not just gender at the lower levels, the lower economic stratas. This is something that we continue to struggle in very hard ways as well as softer ways, such as identity and so on. So, and also, I think during the COVID times, a lot of this has actually started to, all the gains that we've been making so far has slowed down and in some cases positively gone back. In one of the studies that Dalberg recently did, in partnership with the Gates Ford Foundations as well as the Rowan Indian Lekini Philanthropy, we saw that 1 in 4 women sort of limited their food intake during COVID and really worried about food sufficiency. So even if within the family a lot these norms are much more gender forward today, women themselves conform to a lot of these norms as well and sort of see themselves as the last priority within the family. Their access to essentials, such as contraception and sanitary pads were reduced during this time, which is again, prevents them from whether it's participating in schools or work, etc. during the time during the month. As well as, more women than men had yet to sort of resume paid work during as a result of COVID. The other thing that was something to highlight is nearly, it's 99.8%, which is pretty much all of India's transgender population, did not receive government relief during the sort of COVID times. Of the other sort of people did in the same socioeconomic status. A lot of these were due to identity discrimination and so on. So yes, gains have been made, and particularly in the legal, judicial domains. However, there are significant challenges that we still need to sort of have solutions for and policies for. So really, the next couple of days, we're really looking at, what are some new, not just products and programs or policies, but how do we even reimagine new mindsets, where there is a world in which we value and accept people of all genders and sexuality equally and create opportunities for them to thrive, right? What is that? What does that world look like? What kind of legal institutional systems do we need in place to have a much more inclusive environment alongside even in products and programs? How do we really sort of cater to the big diversity in this topic? So to the next one. Yes. So really, as I said, this year we are taking a moment to not just reflect on the last 75 years, but also really look forward, particularly to the aspirations of youth and future generations. How do we kind of shape this, not just the mindsets, but also really sort of tangible policies and programs that are much more forward-looking? And as well as, broadening the conversation itself from not just restricting ourselves to gender, but really including all genders and sexual minorities. As we said, we need to sort of have these we need to broaden the space itself. And to that end, we're really thrilled to have an incredible list of sort of speakers and panelists, on board for the next couple of days, all the way from activists like Dr. Padmashali to journalists like Kalpana Sharma, lawyers like Saurabh Kirpal, and as well as grassroots leaders such as Sushma Mohirle from, who's a sarpanch in a village in Charcha, and development sectors like Sohini Bhattacharya from Breakthrough. So really, not just having a broader conversation and including more gender and sexual minorities, but also bringing more diverse voices to the table, as well as, actually having diversity in the presentation and the format itself, which my colleague Dayang and Seerath will take you through in a moment. And, with that, I really want to sort of take a moment to introduce Dayang, who's an associate partner at Dalberg and leads a lot of our gender work. And Seerath, who's, a senior consultant as well as our global gender practice coordinator. So, over to you, and they'll take you through the next couple of days, and hopefully all of you will leave it and full of ideas to take some ideas forward. Dan?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Preeti, for setting the stage for us. Seerath and I are very excited to be your hosts for today. Over the next 2 days, as Preeti mentioned, we have such an exciting lineup of speakers and programming for you. We have 5 conversations, 2 today, 3 tomorrow, followed by a masterclass. So today, very shortly, we're going to kick off with exploring how the definition of has really changed since the independence and how we can create a more inclusive world for today's youth. Then we're going to follow that up by one-on-one fireside chats with some of the leading voices sharing their lived experiences and lessons from 3 different fields: journalism, law, and the social sector, particularly in the very work of actually fighting for gender equity and inclusion. Then tomorrow, we're going to kick off the day by exploring how women and individuals from gender minorities have used social spaces to amplify their voice. Then we're going to move on to discussing what more needs to be done for programs and policies to be more gender inclusive. In the afternoon, we're going to be exploring and hearing experiences from women leaders in rural India as they're fighting for change within communities. And our track will culminate in an interactive workshop prepared by our colleagues at Dalberg and our friends at Coro. And for that one, we kindly request that you register because it'll be an interactive session and we want to be prepared for how many of you will be there. So hope you can all join us, and we'll share the link in the chat box shortly as well. And finally, we're delighted that this year we have 2 more sessions covering gender, co-hosted by some of our friends in the energy and health track tomorrow afternoon. That's going to be mainstreaming gender across the energy value chain and periods don't pause for a pandemic. Hope many of you can join those sessions as well. So we're going to kick off very, very shortly, I promise. But before we do that, we would love to get a sense of who all are joining us in the audience. So Rashi, if you can pull us up the poll, that would be fantastic. Rashi, is that possible?
Hi, Dayang. The poll is on. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Hope you can see the 2 questions. The first one is, what gender do you identify with? And the second one is, which of the following roles best describes you? And feel free to choose multiple. Rashi, feel free to close the poll whenever we have a good quorum, and then we can share the answers.
Getting a few more in on a few of them.
Excellent. Thanks, Rashi. Poll is now closed. Is it possible to flash the results of the poll on the screen for all of us?
Yeah, I can actually briefly talk you through them because I'm not sure I can flash the results. Based on the question of what gender identity do you identify with, we had 11% in the room as men, 77% women, around 6% as trans men, no trans women. We had 5% as queer or gender non-conforming. On the other poll of who is in the room in terms of their profession or their main work, 100% of the people in the room were development professionals. So we look forward to having a more diverse audience across the next couple of sessions and days.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rashi, for sharing. We do also hope to see more men next time in these conversations, but really great to see some gender minorities also represented, and absolutely would love to see more diverse professions going forward, and hopefully the conversations we start at Charcha in the next couple of days set the stage for that. So without further ado, I would like to just take a minute to get our speakers ready to begin our first session.